man. All right, hello everyone and welcome in. We're going to talk to you today about securing access to resources using Intune. I'm not sure how many of you had a chance to check out Paul and Terrell's session. It was right before this one. That was kind of a 100-level version of Intune. We're going to take a lot of those same topics and we're going to drill in a little bit deeper here in this 300-level session. I'm Joey Glock. I'm a program manager on Intune. In the past, I have worked on our app management features and conditional access and compliance, and then some of the new security features we're going to talk about today. And I'm joined up here by Lance.
Hey everyone, I'm Lance Crandall. I'm also a program manager on the Intune team. I've worked on Intune Hybrid in the past, and I'm currently working on resource access, which is certificates, Wi-Fi, VPN, et cetera. So we're really excited to be here today to kind of tell you what's new and talk to you about how you can protect your data in the enterprise and make your users really more productive. So if you were in the last session with Paul and Terrell, it was a really great overview session of Intune and Microsoft 365, how unified endpoint management fits into that. So we're just going to touch super briefly on that. We're not going to spend too much time. And then we're going to talk about how you can use conditional access to enable your end users to get access to resources in a secure manner. So we want to make sure those devices are enrolled, that they're compliant with the policies that you have. So that'll be the first thing we talk about. And next, we're going to talk about how, after you've gotten access to those, after you've enrolled and become compliant with those policies, how you can actually really give your users access to the apps that they need, or Wi-Fi, VPN, et cetera, and email, so they can become productive on those devices. And last, we'll talk about a new feature called security baselines that Joey's going to touch on that will really tell us how we can keep those endpoints secure just over the course of time. So that's kind of what our agenda is that we'll follow. So if we look at unified endpoint management, if you're in the last session, you may have seen this slide. There's been a lot of change in the industry over the past few years where, in the past, people were kind of cloud averse. They didn't necessarily trust the cloud. And now, fast forward to 2018, and here we are. And the cloud is an integral part of productivity today. And as we look at that, in the past, the perimeter was where we really secured our data, right? So we kept all of our data on-prem, and no one was accessing the cloud or had data stored anywhere else, and we could really protect that data and ensure that that only the right users were accessing that. In 2018 now, that's not the case anymore. We have tons of customers that are accessing third-party SaaS apps to do their jobs. And so how do we protect that? How, since the edge and the perimeter has changed, how do we protect that data that we have in those devices? And so with that, we have Azure, right? Azure's in the cloud. It's part of Microsoft 365. That's how we're able to give single sign-on capabilities to our end users to third-party apps and not just Microsoft apps. And so we're processing, like it says here, 450 billion authentications per month. That's significant. And as part of that, it feeds into our intelligent cloud, right? So now we can say, hey, with all of these authentications, what are some patterns that we see? Are there attacks? Are there things that we can help you understand to better protect your organization from attacks, from passwords being stolen, things like that? In addition to that, we have Office, we have Windows 10 that all are a part of that. And lastly, unified endpoint management. This is really where we protect devices. And the two products that we have that do that as part of the Microsoft 365 suite are Configuration Manager and Microsoft Intune. And together, those products are managing over 150 million devices in the enterprise. That is a significant number of devices that we're protecting. Get through the animation there. So how do these kind of fit together? How many of you are Configuration Manager customers and have that in your organization? So quite a few of you. And that's great. Configuration Manager has been around for a long time. It does a lot of really rich Windows 10 management on your devices, right? So you can image a device, you can deploy Win32 applications to those devices, and really just get down to the core of how you want to manage that in a really secure manner. Now, how does Microsoft Intune fit into this? If I'm already a Configuration Manager customer, what's next for me, right? What are we proposing as Microsoft here? So if you're a Configuration Manager, that's great. Keep using that. And then an option that you have is to cloud attach to Microsoft Intune, right? So when you add Intune into the mix, now I can manage devices that are anywhere. We just talked about how that perimeter is gone, right? And so what do we do then to protect our devices, right? So you cloud attach to Intune, and you get some additional capabilities, things like conditional access that Joey's going to talk about in a second. And then we also get things like you can reset a PC anywhere in the world if it's lost or stolen. That's a really huge feature that you don't have if you're just using Configuration Manager. In addition, we have customers that want to just go cloud only with management. That's great. Microsoft Intune, we feel like, is enterprise ready to manage your Windows 10 devices. In the last session, they talked about how we're adding rich Win32 app support to Intune. And so if you want to use just the cloud for that, that's fantastic. Now you can just be a cloud only customer and manage your devices using Intune. So there's kind of levels of how you want to do that, and that's how we feel like we have the unified endpoint management strategy for Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android devices. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joey and let him talk to you about conditional access.
Thank you. So Lance just touched on how you can attach cloud to your SCCM deployment. We have plenty of sessions about how that cloud attachment works. We have SCCM specific sessions. What we're going to focus on today is getting devices enrolled into Intune, and that's where conditional access comes in. Evaluating that device on an ongoing basis for compliance to make sure that it's a trusted device that should indeed have access to resources. Lance is going to come back on. He's going to talk about how to provision the device with the resources and endpoints that you need to, and then we'll finish with some more security controls that we're introducing. But to cover conditional access properly in one session with the rest of that going on would be a tall task. Conditional access, as you can see with this slide, has a lot of kind of machinations to it. It's not just whether a device is trusted. Conditional access is actually an Azure Active Directory feature that measures whether a user is trusted, whether their identity is valid. So some functionality that AAD provides around that are user sign-in risk. So if a user signs in from Orlando and then 2 seconds later signs in from Russia, we know that some vulnerabilities happen. That's an impossible travel. For user sign-in risk and other policy conditions built into AAD, there is a session where you'll see my mug on stage again tomorrow, where we're going to be joined by AAD discussing everything that goes into those types of controls. Where we're going to focus today on this slide is our device health protections that Intune provides. So this is making sure that it's the correct OS platform, that the device is compliant to company policy. I'll show you what that looks like. That compliance can be evaluated both by Intune itself using MDM protocols on iOS, Android, Windows 10, and so on, as well as partnerships that we're performing. So across the M365 security graph, we're partnering with Windows Defender ATP, Advanced Threat Protection. This was mentioned in the last conversation. But that partnership with ATP really gives us a robust set of controls from both a SecAdmin, SecOps persona into the IT department, and I'll talk about that. But once a device is determined to be trusted, access controls are applied on it, which traditional conditional access has meant allow and blocking a sign-in to a given resource. But there's layers that can be built on that, and Lance is going to talk a little bit about that with resource access. But you can layer multi-factor auth under certain conditions. You can restrict the session itself to be a session that only allows browser access and doesn't allow download, print, or otherwise saving locally to a machine. And then finally, you can allow a full sign-in and full authentication experience. So AD gives you all the tools necessary at your disposal to evaluate access on the user identity, the app identity, the location, and the device that access is being requested from. And it also gives you a ton of access controls to limit that access across all applications. So we focus a lot when we talk about CA on Office 365, but it doesn't stop there. Anything that's hosted in Azure, there are integrations with thousands of third-party SaaS apps like Box and Salesforce, and there are capabilities to get your on-premises apps into Azure using solutions like MCAS and Azure App Proxy to actually proxy through the internet and apply these same conditional access controls to on-premises apps. So lots of conditions, lots of controls, and lots of applications we apply to. Let's focus in on what Intune can provide, which is evaluating conditions on a trusted device. And some of the recent features that Intune has launched around this are the idea of supporting devices that aren't necessarily tied to a given user. So if you guys are familiar with conditional access at all, we generally tell you to target your conditional access and compliance policies to users. And any device they come in on, we can evaluate the device to see if it's trusted and then provide access controls accordingly. We've seen a lot of customers come up to us and tell us that's great, but we have some devices that are just not designated for any given user whatsoever. A Surface Hub is a great example of that. In a Surface Hub scenario, I have the thing sitting in a conference room, an admin provisions it and sets it up, but any given user can walk up to the Surface Hub and use it at their will. For that reason, we have recently launched the ability to target compliance policies to evaluate on a given device, not necessarily tied to a user identity. And what this does is no matter what user walks up, we evaluate if that device is trusted and grant access accordingly. So this was a big scenario for customers that have been using compliance for some time. But a scenario I really want to focus in on and hone in on is our partnership with Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection. So I'll take a step back before we drill into this and talk about the personas at play. Traditionally, in any IT organization, we've talked with a lot of organizations to figure out how these roles are broken down. There is a SecOps persona, there's a SecAdmin persona, and there's an IT pro persona. You may call them different things in your organization, but the idea is SecOps is responsible for identifying threats and responding to them. Seeing that something is live and is happening on a device, it has WannaCry on it, and what do? Do we isolate that device? How do we respond? The IT pro and SecAdmins, which sometimes are the same person in some organizations, they're responsible for defining the rules and the baselines that devices have to adhere to. So the conference is fireproofed, but if a fire does break out, the SecOps person has to develop the evacuation plan. And traditionally, in organizations, because they're two different personas, there's been a wall between these two forces. SecAdmin potentially is the one defining the policies. Your PIN has to be 5 digits long, and you have to have an encrypted device. IT Pro is enacting those policies and is healthy like they think. And then SecOps is somewhere else in a room evaluating monitors and making sure that the organization looks healthy. What we want to do is take that apart. If you're buying EMS, we have the M365 security graph. We can communicate across services, and we're building a bridge between these two roles. So SecOps should be able to say, we see a vulnerability, and we need to do something from an admin perspective immediately without opening a ticket and waiting for some amount of hours to do it. So programmatically, help me out. And that's where Intune is working with Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection to get this going. So I'm going to show you a quick demo of what that looks like. And this will be, for those that attended the last session, a little redundant, but I'm going to go in a little bit farther. So this is our Intune console. The first thing that you could do in the Intune console is drill into device compliance and attach Windows Defender ATP as a product to let the two services communicate with one another. So ATP, for those of you who don't know, is basically doing behavioral threat analysis. So it's running on a machine. It has an agent on Windows. It plans to expand to iOS and Android in the future. It's running on that machine, and it's making sure that the machine is healthy and that it's not detecting something that it thinks is abnormal or suspicious. Once you connect your two services in Intune, they'll begin communicating with each other. And what that means is this is the Windows Defender ATP security dashboard. So this is that SecOps persona. They're sitting here, they're looking, they're seeing that 8 threats have been automated already and remediated. It takes about 14 minutes to happen, but there's still threats in progress or are new. And to give you an idea of what a threat like that might look like, I'm going to show you a YouTube video. And it's a little grainy, but what we're going to see here is, I'll give you a bit of a setup. So, sorry, it's a little grainy here. Brian Eagle has sent an email to his colleague Liz. These are the two people caught in the web of deceit. Liz is about to open an email attachment, and in it is going to be a malicious script. The script is going to get admin privileges. It's going to escalate its rights, and then it's going to remote into other machines across the organization. And all Liz has to do to enable this is open the attachment. Word's going to give you a great experience that says, do you want to enable this content? We're not sure. Liz wants to say, I don't care what that means, just let me work. She clicks enable content, and this is actually what's happening on the remote machine. The attacker is remoting into this machine. They're escalating privilege on the remote machine, and at the end here, and we'll kind of skip through this, they're going to remote into other machines. So one machine was infected, and seconds later, however many machines that the same vulnerability is present for are going to be affected. And so traditionally, what you would see is the SecOps admin would fly out of his chair and say, oh, there are 3 threats in progress, 5 of them are high. And what this machine was the Jackson machine here. And you can actually see in real time this demo scenario play out. A vulnerable driver was loaded, that was a different thing, but a reflective DLL was detected. Then the process privilege escalation attack was created. The process was injected with malicious code. Exploit guard did something, it blocked dynamic code execution, but they found a vulnerability around that. And so this is a trace from a SecOps perspective as to exactly what happened on that vulnerable machine. And one thing that ATP does is it then designates these severities as low, medium, or high. If they can remediate them, they lower the severity, but this machine's sitting in high severity because it just saw the same scenario I played out. Traditionally, what you would do then is click on actions and you'd open up a ticket. I don't know where the ticket action is here, but you'd open up a ticket to your IT department and you'd say, hey, make sure that this device is evaluated for compliance. You'd isolate the machine, you'd handle this outside of scope. But what we now can do is if I come back into Intune, if I have connected ATP with Intune, I can come into our compliance policies, I can create a new compliance policy for Windows 10, and in this, I can go into ATP and I can choose the device risk score that I think is tolerable. So anytime a process privilege escalation, a high-risk attack is occurring on this machine, I can block access, I can designate that device as non-compliant immediately by saying my highest level of tolerance, let's say, is low. I click OK, and this device gets provisioned out there, and at a real-time basis, ATP can do detection to determine whether the sense agent has picked up the process privilege escalation, and in I think it's a 2-second SLA, the sense agent tells ATP, which tells Intune, and the device is marked as non-compliant. As soon as it's marked as non-compliant, conditional access will block access to corporate resources. So Office 365, on-premises apps, or any other cloud app that you connect to the conditional access framework. So all of this happens automatically. If you go back to our scenario, the one infected device would get blocked, and perhaps the user would do something to remediate. But when those other devices were remoted into, they'll also all get blocked if caught by conditional access. So the user doesn't have to even be present on the device. Those remote sessions, those authentication requests will be blocked by AAD because the device is just not trusted until the threat gets remediated. So we have never had this type of integration before. This is the first place that we've introduced that bridge between the operational security role and the SecAdmin IT role that builds the rules to control access as a result of it. So come back here. So those are some of the key investments we've made in compliance and conditional access in the last couple of months. Some things that are maybe a little specific, but it's a 300-level session, so I thought I would include them. Our compliance reporting in our console, there has been some latencies in the past. There has been some aggregation times that just take too long, and we've seen customers using compliance come in, and let's say they see 9 non-compliant devices in their console. They drill in, and all of a sudden, the list of non-compliant devices, there's only 3 of them there. Maybe that's because we're picking up and resolving compliance quickly, but maybe it's because the aggregation of the reports that they saw to begin with had some sort of latency to it. We're resolving all of those issues. It's the highest priority work item that my team is working on, and we're offering real-time views as to how accurate the last time these reports were detected. And we're allowing you to refresh the report itself to see exactly the latest state of device compliance. So again, it's kind of specific, but for any of you that have used compliance in the past, it's something that we've heard. It's probably our number one ask that we've heard is to enhance our reporting and make it more real time. And this is all coming in the next couple of months. So this is an investment we've made. And what I want to talk about after this is some of the bigger picture roadmap items of what you can expect to come. So what we've talked about so far is compliance can be evaluated with MDM on iOS, Android, and Windows. We've integrated with ATP to take behavioral threat analysis and build it into the compliance engine, but we want even more. So Lance talked about the cloud attachment capabilities of attaching Intune to your SCCM instance. We're going to allow SCCM to pass compliance state into Intune. So SCCM has its own compliance signals that it can evaluate, such as Win32 app updates. So while Intune is working to support Win32 apps and is coming shortly, as you've seen in other keynotes, starting this month, you'll be able to leverage SCCM to view the latest app update state and mark compliance accordingly. So on an SCCM managed device, if they don't have all of the latest Win32 app updates that have been pushed out and required, the device will become non-compliant and be blocked access until the user or admin remediates that. We're also going to be launching our mobile app management CA with policy assurance. So today, what our mobile app management CA does is it says, when an app comes in and requests access, basically we validate that the app is one of the apps that has our SDK, but we stop short there. We don't quite evaluate whether the app has received Intune app protection policy and is enacting it. So the app itself requiring encryption and a PIN to get in. What we're doing is we're just bolstering that with higher level and higher degree of security here. So primarily for those users that are out there in the financial sector, it's been a huge ask, and it's something that we're ready to launch very soon. Compliance for multiple users on the same device. This kind of goes back to the user-less device scenario that I talked about earlier. But we've heard a request if many user personas are logging into the same machine, we should be able to evaluate compliance for each of those personas. So if you take say a receptionist scenario, there's a machine on the desk, the receptionist takes off for a week, another receptionist comes in, adds a work account, connects to their email. We should evaluate compliance on each individual user identity. This is work that we have underway and is coming soon to Intune. And then finally, customizable compliance signals. So this is something that we're rolling out very slowly, and we're kind of taking on a customer-by-customer basis, but I'd love to get feedback on our plans here. The idea here is if you have your own app devs who are out there with your own line of business apps, and you have your own ability to detect compliance according to your standards, and if Intune can't detect those same compliance signals and SCCM can't detect those same compliance signals, we can give you a Graph API call. Everything that I talk about is built on the Graph API in the cloud. We can give you a call that you can call from your application to mark a device as compliant or not based on that customizable custom signal that we give you. This is something that we're treating very carefully, mostly because our conditional access experience today is the reason that we control all the signals is that the remediation experience is great for end users. So an end user could come in and figure out exactly what's wrong and go and remediate themselves, or IT can evaluate this and go remediate themselves. With this custom signal, the end user experience is really going to be up to you guys. So if you're using it, we'll allow you to pass a forward link to us to give to the end user to basically say, you're blocked access, and here's a link that explains why. So it's super powerful, but we're also urging people to be very careful with how they decide to go ahead and use this. And so for that reason, this is sitting behind a private preview right now. But if you guys have any interest, I'd be happy to hear some of the use cases that you're thinking about with these signals. So that's where those are some of the huge investments we've made in Intune compliance. It's where we're going in the future with it. Once you get a device into management, you're evaluating whether or not it's compliant. The next logical question is to say, how do I provision this device with access to the resources that we need? And for that, I will bring Lance back out to talk about resource access.
So now that we've made sure that the device is enrolled and compliant with policy, how do we help our end users to become productive? And that's really what the next step is here. So they're going to need access to on-prem resources through having your corporate Wi-Fi push to that device. They're going to need access via VPN. They're also going to need email access, and they need to authenticate to applications, and you may be using CERT-based auth for that. So how do we help our end users to do that? So the first thing we're going to talk about here is VPN. So we have a lot of a really rich partner network of VPN providers. As you look through this list, hopefully all of the VPN providers that you're using are on this list. Most recently, we added Palo Alto Networks. That was a new one that we added for iOS within the last couple of months. We're also looking to add Android support for Palo Alto very soon. But this is a really rich list that we have. And with that, we're really pleased to announce that we're supporting Zscaler remote access. So this is another really important partner for us. We're really excited about this integration. So what this means is that within the Intune console, you'll be able to configure the Zscaler remote access application to do per-app VPN, on-demand VPN, and even have support for conditional access. So Joey just talked about how important conditional access is to secure your resources. So if a device becomes non-compliant, you don't want them to be able to continue to access your on-prem resources. So with that tie-in to Azure Active Directory and for compliance and conditional access, you're able to block full VPN access onto your on-prem network so that those devices can access it, which is exactly what you want to keep that device secure. The last thing that we've done here is we've made it so that on the initial screen that we've done tie-ins with the Zscaler remote application as well as Azure Active Directory for single sign-on. So instead of having to remember yet another username and password to log into just the VPN application, you can use the same AAD credentials that you use to log into anything else that's AAD enabled to be able to log into this screen. So this is a really great feature. So I'm going to take a step back and do a demo here on how this works. Okay, so the first thing that we talked about is the conditional access aspect of this. So I've created a policy, a conditional access policy here that will, one, include the applications that I care about, which in this case is the Zscaler private access application. And then I've also created a condition here to say which platforms it's related to. Now, I could do things like location and other things like that, but in this case, I'm just going to specify iOS since that's where the Zscaler app is supported. And the last thing I'm going to say here is I want to grant access to this application under certain conditions. I could require multi-factor authentication or things like that, but in this case, I'm just going to say I want the device to be enrolled in Intune and compliant with the policies that I've set. So let's go into Intune and take a look at what those policies are. So in this case, I've created a really simple passcode policy. So when I come in here and take a look at that, we'll be able to see the settings that I've enabled. And if we look under system security, you'll see that I'm requiring a passcode of 6. So I have to have at least a passcode and a minimum length of 6. So I've enabled this policy on my device, and there's a couple other things that I need to do at this point to be able to get the application delivered and deployed. So now I'm going to go under device configuration and show what the Zscaler VPN configuration looks like. So I've created this per app VPN policy. And if we look at what we can set there, we pick the type as Zscaler once we get in here. And then we'll see that there's a couple different sections here. So one's just kind of like generic VPN settings. The next one is what do we want to do from an automated perspective, automatic VPN perspective. So I've configured some specific things that are Zscaler specific here, like the domain name, the Zscaler cloud that I'm associated with, et cetera. Pretty simple policy. And then here, I've made it a per app VPN. So I could do on-demand VPN, but in this case, we've chosen a per app VPN. And then the last thing we're going to show here is actually deploying the application. So from the iOS store, I've browsed and I've created the Zscaler application here within Intune, and I've made that a required application for all of my devices. And then the last thing here, that if you wanted to set up a per app VPN, for example, on Edge, you can import the Edge application, and then as you're making the assignment out to which AAD groups you want it to apply to, then you could specify like a specific VPN that's for per app VPN. So just for the sake of argument here, I'm just going to do an included group, and then we'll say make this required on all devices. And then at this point, that's where I would pick my VPN profile that I selected. So let's flip over and see kind of what this experience is on my iPad. So this device is already enrolled for management. And as you can see, it's saying that it's non-compliant with policy. And that's because I don't have a passcode on this device. So give that a second. So if I log in here to the application, you'll see that it's downloading the configuration. And this is what's happening here is that we're automatically provisioning this VPN client from Intune. And then now it's flipping over and actually using AAD credentials for single sign-on. So that way I don't have to actually know a different username and password just for logging into the VPN provider. It's using AAD credentials, which the end user will know. So I'm going to unplug for just a half a second while I type in my password here. Hopefully I remember my password. Okay, and as I plug back in here, get it up on stage here, come on. Okay, so what you'll see here is that I tried to log in, but if you remember, I wasn't compliant. I don't have a passcode on this device. So it's actually not letting me even log into the Zscaler application, which is blocking access to VPN in general, right? So what do I do to fix this? Well, I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to set a super complex password. That was convenient. Thanks, iOS. So very secure. no one steal my iPad after the session. So at this point, I've entered a passcode. Great. So the next thing I'm going to do is go back into the Zscaler application. Oops, let's actually go to the company portal application, and we're going to check our settings. This may take a second for it to recognize that I'm now compliant, so I might have to click this a couple times. So what's happening now is it's reevaluating compliance on the device. As you can see, it still just takes a second for it to figure it out, so hopefully this doesn't take too long. Okay, so now it shows I'm in compliance. Great. So now I'm going to jump back to the Zscaler application, and I'm just going to refresh the page. And now it's registering the device. So I became compliant. Now it's registering the device here. And now it's going to start to connect to the network. So I'm just going to kill that for a second, jump back in, speed up the process here. And as you can see, I now just got connected to VPN. So the cool thing about this is that I was able to have a compliance policy. I was able to push down configuration to the device. It detected that the device was not compliant, and it blocked VPN access. So you don't want your non-compliant devices being able to log in. So I think that's pretty cool. We're really excited about the partnership that we have with Zscaler. And so check it out if you're using Zscaler. This should be live right now. Okay. So next thing we're going to talk about is certificates and certificate management. This one's always a fun topic, talking about certificates. They're super complicated and fun. How many of you use certificates for authentication in your organization? A lot of you. So, okay, you're feeling the pain. Fantastic. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk through the different ways that we provide certificate management support in Intune. So there's two main options that you can choose. The first one is SCEP, and the next one is what we call PKCS. And I get asked quite a bit about kind of the pros and cons, like if people that are coming into Intune or starting to do cert-based auth, they want to really understand, like, well, what are the pros and cons? Which route should I go? Should I go SCEP? Should I go PKCS? The answer is it depends, and you can make your own decision just based on the information that we give you here. So I'm sorry I'm not going to tell you what the right answer is, but you make your decision here. So kind of the considerations that you should have for SCEP is that you get faster delivery to the device. First of all, we deliver a profile to the device, and then the device itself will actually reach out to the SCEP server and get the certificate. So it's kind of out of band. It also has the benefit of that private keys, which are the important part of that certificate that you want to control, are generated on the device itself. So it never leaves that device, which increases the security posture that you have there. Now, the other consideration is, though, that you need to have an external URL to your organization. So many of you have probably already set this up in your organization if you're using Intune, and realize that you can use an Azure App Proxy to put a URL external that devices can hit. Some companies are concerned about that, but we do harden the URL and ensure that only valid devices are able to get certificates through that URL. So that's one consideration that people have is requiring that external URL. With PKCS, it's a little bit different. We have a connector that sits on-prem, and that connector actually generates the private keys. So it's not done on the device itself, but it is done on a connector that is on your network. And then it reaches out to the certification authority and pulls back a cert. So in those cases, the thing that you need to understand is it takes a little bit longer to get the certificate. It requires multiple check-ins just with how the process works to get a certificate through that channel. So it's not like it takes an hour or anything like that, but the device will have to check in. On initial check-in or on initial enrollment of that device, it doesn't really matter just because we do what we call like a fast check-in. So like every couple minutes, it's going to check in for about the first 30 minutes. So you should get your certificate by then. But just realize that it's not going to be kind of instantaneous like SCEP is. Just as a data point, we found that most of our customers are using SCEP. However, we do have quite a few customers that are either using PKCS or investigating PKCS as well. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just kind of what works for your organization. The one thing I want to call out with SCEP, though, is that we have supported a Microsoft CA for a long time, and we didn't really have any third-party support. So if you're using a third-party certification authority, you're kind of stuck. It's kind of like you can't even get in the door. My users aren't going to be able to authenticate if I can't get a certificate. So with that, we heard your feedback that we need to expand support of certification authorities. And so with that, what we've done is we have third-party certification authority support that we announced about a month and a half ago. And this is really exciting. We started partnering with a bunch of companies, and I'll put those on the screen now, a couple of months ago. So we started with just the upper left-hand corner of Microsoft, and now within a couple of months, we've had some really rich partnerships with customers. So Entrust Data Card is live, the Enterprise Java Beans Certification Authority had some support that was added by one of our partners, CGI, since that's an open source certification authority. So we're grateful to them for putting that plugin code on GitHub. So you can check that out. That one is live. Komodo's coming soon, and these other ones are also coming soon that you see here. So we're really excited for the partnerships that we have. So going from 0, well, I'll call it 1 if we count the Microsoft CA, to this many partners is super exciting. Now, if you don't see your certification authority up there that you're using, please reach out and let us know. We'd love to have you put that on user voice so we can reach out and start partnering with them. So all the functionality that they need to do integration, all the scripts, et cetera, it's already out there on GitHub, so they can reach out and just start doing it on their own. They don't really even need to talk to us if they don't want to. But we'd love to kind of keep expanding this list. Super exciting. Okay, so Entrust was actually the first partner that we did this integration with, and we had a lot of feedback from them as we went through this process. So what we want to do is kind of show a demo really quick of what that integration looks like. So on my device here, I have an Entrust appliance that's running right now, and so it's got a SCEP URL that's, I won't call it external, but it's external to my device, to the VM that it's on, and then I have a Windows VM. So if I go look at the existing SCEP profiles that exist, we'll come back. So if I go under device configuration and profiles, if I create a new profile, you'll see that it looks exactly, whether I'm using a third-party provider or anyone else, it's still a generic profile. So I'm just going to kind of show what that looks like. Thank you, sorry. Takes a village. Give it a second here. Okay, perfect. Anyway, you didn't miss much. Basically, I just browsed over to the device configuration profiles, and I'd already pre-created this Entrust profile, and you can kind of see the options here. So I can pick like what I want my subject name to be, my subject alternative name, key size, et cetera, and then also like extended key usage. The one part that is going to be different for Entrust, it's actually not even really different, but when you add this SCEP URL, all you do is point at your SCEP URL of your Entrust server or global sign or whomever that you're using, and that's what will point the device at the right place to get the cert. So that's all that we did here that was different for third-party certifications, or pretty much nothing. It's the same thing, you just put a different URL. So if I jump over to my device now, and of course we lost connectivity, sweet. Let's try this again. So I've targeted that profile to my device here, and under my personal certificates, you'll see here that I hopefully don't have a cert from Entrust. So if I go and do a sync, since I've targeted that, this may take a minute, but what's happening here in the background while this happens is that the profile is coming down from Intune that tells my device where to go get the certificate. The device, when it receives that request, has an encrypted and signed challenge. So this is how we keep it secure. So that encrypted and signed challenge is generated in Intune. It also has some additional information in it about what we expect the subject name to be, what we expect the SAN to be, et cetera. So when the device sends that out to the Entrust SCEP endpoint or any of these third-party endpoints, it then can't decrypt that, right? Because we encrypted and signed it in Intune. It has no way to decrypt that. So what these providers have had to do is write a plugin that reaches out to Intune where we then do the validation against that. So we'll decrypt it in Intune, make sure it's a valid request. We'll validate it against the CSR that the device got to say like, yep, everything matches. This is the SAN we expected, et cetera. And then at that point, we'll say yes or no back to the SCEP server, and it will issue the certificate if it was a valid request. So that's basically what the process was happening in the background there. So hopefully we'll see a cert here in a second. Might take a minute. Give it just a second. The joys of demos. All right, I'm going to come back to that, but we should see a cert there in a minute. Okay, so jumping back to certificates, one of the big features that we've heard customers ask for is device certificates. And I wanted to kind of level set on what the definition is of a device certificate, because I've heard a lot of people say different things, and it's kind of confusing. So the long and short of it is what a user certificate is, from my definition at least, is that the subject and stand of that certificate can have both user and device attributes. So you could say like it has a user UPN in it and maybe the AAD device ID. So that's totally a legitimate user certificate. The other piece is that if you've targeted that certificate profile to a device that doesn't have a user associated with it, then Intune's not going to deploy that certificate. And then lastly, if you think about it on a Windows device, which is probably where your thoughts went first, a Windows device has two different certificate stores. There's a user store and a local machine store. So in a user scenario where you're deploying a user certificate, that's going to end up in the user certificate store. Device is just kind of the opposite. If you deploy a device cert, it can only be stored in the local machine store on a Windows device. And for other platforms, we're basically just saying that you can have device-based attributes only in the subject and stand of that certificate. So why are device certificates even important? Why do you care? It really happens for, the main benefit is for shared device scenarios is what we've kind of heard. So for example, if you have like a nurse's floor where they're just kind of passing around like an iPad, for example, and you've enrolled that with the DEP program where you have a userless device, that's great. You don't want to have like a user have to log into that device because they can't, there is no user. Or think about students, right? So they pass around those carts, each student just grabs one and they want to be up and running like instantly. They don't have to wait for a cert to get issued every time they log into a brand new device. So really like for shared device scenarios is where the key is here. So we're finally adding device cert support. This has been asked for a long time. We're really excited that we're adding this. The full thing isn't rolling out quite yet. It'll be rolling out over time, but we're really excited about this. So the first place is, since we know most of our customers using SCEP, that's where our focus was, and a lot of the core scenarios around shared devices was around Windows and iOS. So that's where our initial focus was here, is around that. So this gives you a much richer customizable subject and SAN as well. So we know customers, like right now, if you look at the profile, you can like select one thing, like common name, for example. But customers have rich requirements around like how they want to build it. They may want to just tag it with UPN-Intune or something like that, and even have static text in it. So we're giving you really rich capabilities to add a bunch of Azure Active Directory variables to that the subject and the SAN, and even have static text in there. So that's pretty exciting. We'll also deliver on Windows the cert to the local machine store, which is great. And then on iOS, if you have a userless device, we can finally target certificates of that for authentication. So now you can have that seamless authentication experience on that shared device that you're giving to your users. And then the last thing is, kind of the core scenario that we hear for this is around Wi-Fi. So with Wi-Fi, you'll be able to associate a device certificate profile as well to that, and that will allow you to have like a kind of seamless authentication to your corporate Wi-Fi network without having to do login or wait for a certificate to come down to the device before an end user can be productive. So I'm not going to read through this, but we have a lot of more stuff that we need to do on device search. So PKCS, that's one of the areas that we need to focus on as well. We need to add Android support. You may have heard of the term COSU, which is corporate-owned single use on Android. And basically what that is like an Android kiosk-type device. And so we need to add support for that as well. They have kind of a different model there that we need to support. So a lot of work we still need to do here. But we've added kind of the core scenarios that we know customers were clamoring for, so we're excited to be able to provide that. Okay, how many of you work in the federal space? Anyone? Okay, we got a few. Okay, so what we want to talk about now is what we call derived credentials. And this one's kind of a fun one to explain. But basically what a derived credential is that in the federal space, they issue like a physical smart card to all of their users. That's used for physical access to locations, as well as to authentication to applications and whatnot. And so with that, totally makes sense on a Windows device. I can plug a USB in, have a smart card reader, great, or maybe have a built-in smart card reader to my Windows device. But what do you do for mobile devices? Like, I'm not going to walk around. I don't really have a way to plug in, a smart card into my iPhone, for example. So how do they continue to have allow their users to have mobile phones and things like that are enrolled into Intune without requiring that physical smart card that they have today? So that's where kind of derived credentials comes in. So there's a standards body you may be familiar with that's called NIST. They have a standard called 800-157 that kind of indicates how an end user can get a certificate onto their device by using their physical smart card. So that's kind of the scenario there. So In the end, what's happening is that these users use these certificates for signing of email. They use it for encryption of email. They also use it to authenticate. But that way, they're just using a cert. They don't have to use their physical smart card on their iPhone or their Android device. So in this space, there's 4 key derived credential providers. There's Intrust, Interseed, DisappearBread, which is the Department of Defense's kind of homegrown solution, and then there's a company called XTech as well. And so what we're trying to do is integrate with these 4 providers over the next little while here and be able to provide this functionality to customers in the federal space. So what the flow is here is that you'll have an end user that goes to the company portal application on their mobile device. They'll start to enroll. Since they don't know their username and password, they can't just enter it there in the company portal, but there's an option in there that allows you to sign in from another device. You'll go to your Windows device at that point and enroll with your physical smart card. At that point, once they've logged in, they'll complete the enrollment into Intune, and then we'll push down what we call a PIVD application. So this will be a brand new application. It's just for federal, basically, or customers that are using derived credentials down to the device. And then at that point, what will happen is that the end user will have to go over to their Windows device again to be able to enroll with their physical smart card, and that's kind of this identity proofing thing that's part of that NIST standard. So this is kind of an extra step that federal customers have to do. So once they get that, they'll get like a QR code on their website or whatever, and they'll go back to the PIVD application on their mobile device, scan that QR code, and that kind of completes the process where then the CA will issue the cert to that device. So it's a little more roundabout than what we do for like our commercial customers that don't have this requirement. Those are just a lot more seamless to get down there, but we have this extra identity proofing step that has to happen because of the use of physical smart cards and the federal requirements that exist. So at that point, we'll push up some on iOS, it's a little tricky. We have to like create a profile, push it up to Intune, push it back down to the device so that you can have that credential used for Wi-Fi, VPN, email, et cetera, and all the other scenarios that you have. So if you are a federal customer and you're interested in piloting this as we work on it over the next couple months and release features over the next few months, please reach out to this alias that's on here. If you don't have a picture of it now, the deck's available after the session, so you can certainly use it at that point. All right, so let's talk about some Wi-Fi enhancements that we've made. So the first enhancement that we've made is around Windows 10 Wi-Fi. And in the past, what we supported in Intune was the ability for you to import an XML file. And we've made this on par with the other platforms as well, where you have a really rich first-class experience to be able to configure Wi-Fi for Windows 10 devices. Thank you. Took a while. We got there, yes. PSK support, so if you're using a pre-shared key where you've have the same password that everyone is using, that's support that we're adding as well. We just wanted to make sure that we had the right security model around this before we released it, so this should be coming very soon. The rest of the first-class UX experience, this is already there. That's already live, just the PSK support's coming later. I just talked about device certs and how important that was for customers that are using Windows and iOS specifically at this point, and you'll have the ability to assign a device cert profile to this experience as well. Okay, email. So this one gets kind of exciting too. So in iOS 11, Apple had added a feature to allow modern authentication to happen as you're signing into your account. And modern auth, if you're not aware, is the ability to use things like multi-factor authentication and things like that. So that gives you a much better security posture than just a standard username and password. So this was a big blocker for a lot of companies to not be able to support this. So it was great it came out in iOS 11. No enterprise could use it because they were using managed email profiles through NMDM, Intune included in this. That was because Apple hadn't provided the ability for us to actually set an MDM setting to enforce OAuth support on the Mail app. So in iOS 12, which just came out, they do have that setting. So that's great. So now we are in the process of adding this. This should be rolling out in the next couple of months, and you'll be able to enforce this on your devices. And when this does roll out, when you push that down with the way that mail profiles work on iOS, your users will get prompted, even if they've already signed into the app, since it's kind of pushing down a brand new email profile, to sign in with modern authentication again. So just be aware of that limitation right there. And that's, again, an Apple, the way that Apple handles that. The next thing we want to talk about is Outlook Mobile. So there's been the ability to support account provisioning in Outlook Mobile for quite a while. So, you think about iOS, you think about Android and the mail profiles you can create there, you're able to push that down to the device. Outlook didn't necessarily have that capability until a few months ago. The way that they implemented that is through app configuration, and with app configuration, sometimes customers were getting confused on what the values were and how to set it up, and it was generating some support calls. So what we want to do is make sure we had a really good end user experience or admin experience for this as well. And so we are adding in this month the ability for you to create an Outlook Mobile email profile using some of the settings here. There's more than just this, but this was kind of some of the highlights here. So you can specify like the email server, email address attribute that you want from AD, et cetera. That'll push down to the end user's device and help them get provisioned very quickly without having to do a bunch of manual work. They're also adding a bunch of capabilities in the future here, the near future, that allow you to configure the application itself. So things like focused inbox, syncing contacts, biometrics, those sorts of things. Those are all things that you'll be able to set through a first-class experience in Intune as well as they release those features in Outlook. So those are things we're looking at. The last one also is kind of interesting about only allowing org accounts. So if you have a corporate-owned device, you may not really want an end user to say, hey, Outlook's great, I'm going to add my personal account on there. So if you set this setting and they already had a personal account on there, what will happen is they'll get prompted when they launch the app to remove that. So they can't even get into the app until they remove that personal account. So that's a pretty cool feature that we'll be supporting as well soon. All right, a couple more things. SMIME support. How many of you use SMIME in your organization for email signing and encryption? Not very many. Wow, okay. Okay, well, it's complex. So what we're adding here is the ability for you to import a certificate history from any certification authority into Intune. And the reason you need that is because you need to be able to decrypt emails that you've received using certificates maybe you had 5 years ago, right? So you have to have that history of certificates on the device, or else you won't be able to actually read any of your old email. So this is one of the challenges with SMIME and how it works, especially with email encryption. Signing is less of a concern. It's, you can have a unique cert per device, no big deal. But for encryption, it's much more challenging. So we need to be able to get that cert history into Intune and then deliver it to every single device that an end user enrolls. And so we're adding a bunch of functionality here very soon that will allow you to import that. We have some scripts out on GitHub that you can use, and you associate those scripts with, those certificates with an individual user. So you're not just blasting out thousands of certs to everybody. It's unique to that specific user. The one key point here is that we want to make sure that Intune never has access to the private keys. So before you upload those using the GitHub scripts that we provided here, what you need to do is make sure that you've encrypted those with either something like Windows cryptography, or many of you may have like an HSM that you're able to use as well. And that way what we do is we make sure that Intune could never decrypt those private keys. We want to make sure that that's really clear and those are very secured. So that's kind of the first step here. So with that, we're adding iOS native mail support. So with the way that iOS works, when you push a managed profile down to the device, a managed email profile, the end user can't really change anything. It's a managed profile. That was pre-iOS 11. With iOS 12, they've added a bunch of settings that will allow an end user to actually override some of those settings. And in addition, there's some settings that we're adding that will allow you to say, hey, we're going to enforce encryption on every single email that you send, and there's no way you can opt out of that, like every email is signed and encrypted. Or you can say, we're enforcing encryption on every email, but you can opt out of it. So, an end user could click the button to say, like, this is the one I'm going to send decrypted. Or you could switch it and say, I'm not going to enforce encryption, I'm just going to enable it. And then an end user can go in and say, I want to encrypt this specific email. So a lot of options that they have there. We're adding those options, and especially the new settings that allow an end user to override specific settings. And so that'll be some great stuff that you see coming. The next part, this has been a really huge request from a lot of customers, and that's allowing supporting SMIME in Outlook Mobile on iOS and Android. So we are actively working on this. We know this is a big ask from a lot of our highly regulated customers, even customers that aren't necessarily highly regulated, but have these requirements. And we're adding a bunch of capabilities here. So the first thing is that we'll allow the admin to enable and deploy specific settings to enable SMIME encryption through app config. So similar to what we announced before a few slides back about the ability to do email provisioning and app configuration for Outlook Mobile, these will be some additional settings that you'll see light up once this ships that you'll be able to set as well as an admin. The other cool feature that I want to call out here is that with like iOS, for example, and the native mail app, you have to be enrolled in Intune to be able to get certificates down to the device. With Outlook Mobile, what we're looking at doing is giving you the ability to get certificates into the app without actually and onto the device without actually having to be enrolled. So you could be enrolled or not enrolled, and we'll still be able to support you. And that's really great for users that want to have like a BYOD type experience, but also ensure that they don't necessarily have to be enrolled to receive those certificates. So those are kind of some of the exciting features that we have coming. So we've talked a lot about VPN, certificate enhancements we have with third-party support, device certificates, et cetera. We've talked about a lot of the cool partners that we've added just very recently. And we also talked about some enhancements we're making to Outlook Mobile for SMIME and also account provisioning. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joey.
You want to do this?
I'm good.
You don't want to go for it?
What?
That's fine. We're going to take the bullet train home with security baselines. So how many of you are using group policy still? Yeah. And how many of you are consuming the currently published Windows security baselines in your group policy? Oh, okay. So today, and for many years, we have been publishing Windows security baselines that are group policy entities. This is in our documentation here. Basically, what this says is they have combed through, and this is a team on Windows working with developers who understand security deeply, has combed through all of the CSPs, all of the, not just CSPs, all of the, any registry value that can be configured by group policy, over 3,000 of them, and have figured out which ones are relevant to security and what their recommendation is to set these things. Today, these are published in a security compliance toolkit, which is something that you could download. Windows 10 is published here, and you can import this into GP and configure your baselines. One problem that we've heard customers have is they're using this for group policy, they love it, Intune provides nothing close to it, so how are we ever going to get off group policy and onto Intune? And one major driver we discovered is security is the kind of last bastion of group policy before we get onto modern management. So, like a good storyteller that I am, I'm going to take you back to this slide where security and IT have been separated. We're building a bridge between these two things. In the long run, security baselines is something that we're considering for that approach. And I'll get to what that means. I just wanted to put this slide back in your head before I talk about this. In an upcoming sprint near the end of the year, Intune will natively be supporting security baselines in its admin console. And I have a running build where I can show you what that's going to look like early. So what we have done is rather than building an import experience, rather than replicating the XML upload schema from GP, we have built a native management piece of Intune for security baselines. This is going to be the hub for all things security going forward. We're launching in the fall with one security baseline available on Windows 10. This is going to map to be what's going to be called the RS5 published security baseline for GP. And when I drill into this thing, first thing you'll see is if I create these security baselines in Intune, we're going to have an in-depth set of reporting. On a setting-by-setting basis, we'll be able to report back to you how many settings are meeting the security baseline, how many of them fail to meet it, how many of them are misconfigured, meaning there's some sort of conflict or error applying the policy to the device, and how many devices in your ecosystem aren't applicable for all the settings in this security baseline. So going back to that slide of bridging the gap between IT and SEC admins are going to be most curious in the number of devices that are meeting the baseline according to Microsoft's recommendation and your own. But IT admins are being able to be responsible for actually deploying this policy and making sure that any conflicts or errors that may have arisen, they drill into that, they figure out how to resolve them, and they go and fix this. The unique thing about security baselines, different than the rest of Intune's device configuration settings, is that they're pre-configured and pre-populated. There are hundreds of these settings across something like 50 or 60 categories, and they're all part of a policy framework that looks and feels just like device configuration policies that you've seen in modern management before. So if I open up one of these categories, you can see we have autoplay set of 3 settings that are already pre-configured to the values that Microsoft recommends. Furthermore, you can customize these. So unlike taking the group policy XML scripts and editing that or changing it in your GP engine, this is all natively built into the policy engine here. You could go through, you'll be able to search through these categories, search through every setting and what Microsoft's recommendation is. We're going to publish a bunch of documentation as to why we're doing this. And you'll be able to come in here and customize these to your heart's desires. So Microsoft is basically going to start you with a template that says, here are all of our security recommendations, just like we've been doing for years. We're working with the same group policy team, or the same Windows team, rather, that is publishing the group policy templates to publish these. And this entity will exist in the console by the end of the year. And so this will be a publishable thing. We'll have in-depth reporting on device-by-device basis. But one thing that we're starting with security baselines is a very globally available, static thing. That's what GP has been, right? I showed you the website where we are publishing a globally available and static security baseline, April 2018 update. There it is. And we wait until we publish whatever the next update is. What we want to do in Intune is the whole point of getting to the cloud is that we can do things that are very tenant-specific, no longer globally available, and we can do things that are customizable and less static. So the first thing we're going to build off security baselines is the ability to customize the baseline, import and export the template. So if you're working with any sort of organization, I know people in the federal sector I've talked with many organizations that help configure baselines for the federal sector. Those organizations will be able to take this schema in Intune, customize it at their will, export it, and publish it out to all of their customers so that it can be imported into Intune and deployed like any modern management policy. And you'll get all of the reporting benefits that I showed you from all of these customized baseline templates. So this customization is the next step that we want to take this. Furthermore, we'd like to use our understanding of a customer makeup and profile to know that if you're in the financial sector, here's what your peers are doing in the financial sector. Here's what we recommend for you specifically. So we're going to use machine learning, we're going to use intelligence across our tenants to build a solution that's very tenant-specific that says we think we know who you are and here are our recommendations from a security perspective. So that customization, importing, exporting, the tenant-specific recommendations, that's the direction we want to take this. And furthermore then, so that translates baselines from a global entity to something tenant-specific. The staticness of this is what we want to address. We work with partners like ATP who make recommendations for how a device can be configured on a monthly basis. We've heard ATP averages one or two recommendations a month where they want to change an encryption value, they want to change a very specific setting. So what we want to do is build a system where we start you with this profile, and what we'll do is we'll publish these over time, just like you saw in that documentation. There'll be a October 2018, there'll be a whatever 2019 baseline, and so on. But once you go in this baseline, we want to give you a view over time about our changes to our recommendations on a near real-time basis. So if ATP comes along with a set of feedback for us where they want to change setting foo from 1 to 2, we'll be able to reflect that in this and give you a full versioning experience for how to make those updates and stay up to date from a security perspective. Not just from release to release, but from month to month on a real-time basis. So this is further enhancing the coverage we have with ATP, where we're not just consuming their risk events, we're consuming the learning that they have to provide recommendations from the people who know the OS and the platform the best. So security baselines is a huge investment we're making. We're launching this in the fall, but near the end of the year, and we're going to, again, take it from something that's kind of globally and statically available at group policy, and that's where it'll start, to something that's very dynamic, very tenant-specific, and has a versioning process built into it. And so we're about to launch a private preview, and kind of what I was saying before, if you guys have any interest in this or are interested in kind of poking around with what settings are in this early, I'd love to get that feedback before you take off from Orlando. So that's the investments we're making in security baselines. We've given you a huge whirlwind of information here. We made it with 11 minutes, which is astounding. We started by talking about the idea of a cloud attachment to your SCCM configuration. Everything that we've talked about today has either standalone cloud applicability or cloud attach applicability to it. Every single thing is part of that. We talked about taking conditional access, consuming risk signals from ATP to give behavioral analysis and blocking real time when ATP detects something. Lance went through everything that you could possibly provision with resource access and some of the new improvements we're making in that space. And I talked about a new workspace we're creating, which is security baselines. And it's a thing that we're investing pretty heavily in. And we think it's a great opportunity to consider continuing to get off GP and onto modern management. With that, we want to leave a few minutes before we're kicked off the stage for questions. You could line up at the mics, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. It did not. I think I'm having some connectivity
I thought Lance was
issues.
going to roll the dice on it and show you in real time.
It's always, it works 100 times, before, and then it's always when you're on stage, something goes wrong. It's the nature of it. I didn't this morning. That was my problem, I guess.
Should have known. Hey.
One question I have is,
Where are we?
Sure.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
These guys are going to be on mic.
so I saw the
hold on, let me ask
you
if
had
I can get shut off,
October
and I'll
2018 in there. Are they going to have like for earlier versions as well for 1709,
1, 2, yeah, we're good.
1803 security baseline?
So I think the baselines. Hey, Joey, do you want to cover that question? He's busy. So I think that what you saw is what's available. So I don't think they're going to make them available for previous versions.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a go forward type of a thing rather than a go back.
Okay.
I got
Any other questions?
Question
With the
over here.
mics or something?
Do you have a schedule or a roadmap?
Oh, there we go. Sorry, gosh, it's hard to keep track of where
when,
people are.
when
it's
when
for
these features and abilities will be available in GCC High?
we don't have a roadmap for that we can share. Sorry. Yep.
A question about security baselines.
Yeah.
Are they for
We need
compliance
Joey for
only,
these.
or they will allow you to remediate any like?
So let me have Joey answer that question. He'll know better than me. Maybe just head over there and he can help you out with that one. Looks like he's kind of busy talking to people offline. Yeah.
Yeah, so for device certificate support in Intune, is that only Windows and iOS, or is that also going to be supported on Mac?
Yeah, so our plan is to support on Android and Mac. So Android support we're working on right now, but we still need to add support for the KOSU scenario, which is the kiosk device scenario. And then on Mac, we're looking at it as well. So yeah.
So not yet, but
Yeah, so like the way that we're looking at these is we'll kind of do them over time as we just wanted to release, as we got things ready to unblock customers who needed certain, OSs. But yeah, we'll definitely get there.
and no time frame yet.
Not yet. Any other questions?
One here.
Yeah.
So one of our focuses now is to start moving customers to a pure cloud experience where we just leave legacy Active Directory behind.
Yeah.
And one of the blockers for one or two is the lack of functionality, where we need or use currently GPOs. So with this security baseline, are there plans for further down the line to introduce something like ADMX templates for Intune or any kind of that management capability?
So there's some ADMX functionality that we're looking at for things like Office, and then we'll just take it from there and see what kind of feedback we get from customers and the best way for us to address the GPO problem. We know that's a blocker for some customers, and kind of what we recommend for customers is take a step back from what you're doing today and on-prem and really evaluate what your requirements are. Because you may have GPOs from 25 years ago and no one knows why they're there or what they do, but everyone's afraid to touch it, right? So if you take a step back and say, what do we really need to set on a device, you may find that you're 100% there right now, So that's kind of what one of our recommendations is. There's also some analysis tools as well that that the Windows teams provided to help with that analysis to say like, here's what you're using today, here's how that relates to MDM settings. So that's also a good way to take a look at that. And Aisha over there should be able to help out with some other ADMX type questions.
There's a tool, right?
Yes.
Thanks.
Thanks. Yes.
What's the name of that tool?
I think it's MMAT, maybe? I can't remember exactly. But yeah, there is a tool, I think it's like a script that you run or something that, I haven't actually used it, so I'm speculating a little bit, but it shows you like your current GPOs, how they relate to MDM settings. What was that? He might, yeah. Any other questions? All right, if not, it looks like we have some people that are just walking around, so I think we'll just kind of close down the session, and then we'll answer some questions.